When exploring the world of dark men and women of science who committed absolutely morbid atrocities, one prominent name that never fails to show up is Josef Mengele. He was so terrible, with no empathy at all, that he was nicknamed the Angel of Death. Mengele was born into a Catholic family in Günzburg, Bavaria, on the 16th of March 1911. Mengele was successful at school and developed an interest in music, art, and skiing. He completed high school in April 1930 and went on to study philosophy in Munich, where the headquarters of the Nazi Party was located. In 1935, Mengele earned a PhD in anthropology from the University of Munich. In January 1937, he joined the Institute for Hereditary Biology and Racial Hygiene in Frankfurt, where he worked for Ottmar Freire von Verschwer, a German geneticist with a particular interest in researching twins. In that very year, he became a member of Adolf Hitler's Nazi Party and joined the army in 1938. When World War II broke out, he took active part in fighting till 1942, when he was deemed unfit to continue due to a serious injury he had obtained in battle. In 1943, Mengele was encouraged to apply to work as a doctor in the concentration camp. For those who are not really into history, concentration camps were prison camps that were run by Germans during World War II. In these camps, many people, mostly Jews, were killed en masse. In these camps, German doctors were conducting selections where incoming Jews were segregated and those considered able to work were admitted into the camp, while those deemed unfit for labor were immediately murdered in the gas chambers. Those selected to be murdered, about 3/4 of the total, included almost all children, women with small children, pregnant women, all the elderly, and all of those who appeared in a brief and superficial inspection by a doctor to be not completely fit and healthy. Mengele's application was accepted eventually and he was sent to Auschwitz concentration camp. As part of his duties, Mengele made weekly visits to the hospital barracks and ordered any prisoners who had not recovered after 2 weeks in bed to be sent to the gas chambers. Mengele's work also involved carrying out selections of those who were to be killed, a task he chose to perform even when he was not assigned to do so, in the hope of finding subjects for his experiments, with a particular interest in locating sets of twins. In contrast to most of the other SS doctors who viewed selections as one of their most stressful and unpleasant duties, he undertook the task with a flamboyant air, often smiling or whistling. He was one of the SS doctors responsible for supervising the administration of Zyklon B, the cyanide-based pesticides that was used for the mass killings in the gas chambers. On one occasion, a disease known as Noma broke out in the camp. Mengele had the infected children rounded up, where some were killed and their heads cut off so that they could be studied. When a typhus epidemic began in the women's camp, Mengele cleared one block of 600 Jewish women and sent them to be murdered in the gas chambers. One group of individuals he was very interested in were twins, as mentioned earlier. On one occasion, Mengele personally murdered 14 twins in one night by injecting their hearts with chloroform. Mengele's eye experiments also included attempts to change the eye color by injecting chemicals into the eyes of living subjects, and he killed people with heterochromatic eyes so that their eyes could be removed and sent to Berlin for study. His experiments on dwarfs and people with physical abnormalities included taking physical measurements, drawing blood, extracting healthy teeth, and treatment with unnecessary drugs and x-rays. Many of his victims were dispatched to the gas chambers after about 2 weeks, and their skeletons were sent to Berlin for further analysis. Mengele sought out pregnant women on whom he would perform experiments before sending them to the gas chambers. One survivor reports witnessing Mengele performing vivisection without anesthesia, removing hearts and stomachs of victims. Another survivor reported in 2009 how Mengele removed his kidney without anesthesia. He was forced to return to work without painkillers. Another described how Mengele sewed up Romani twins together back to back in a crude attempt to create conjoined twins. Gangrene caused by the operation eventually killed both twins after several days of suffering. As World War II came to a close, the Allies began taking over Germany and its strongholds. Mengele and some of his accomplices fled and went into hiding. He eventually changed his name and fled to Argentina. Many efforts were made to bring him into custody, but he evaded capture many times. When the authorities were closing in on him, he escaped to Brazil. Mengele's health began deteriorating in 1972. He suffered a stroke in 1976, experienced high blood pressure, and developed an ear infection, which affected his balance. On 7th February 1979, while visiting his friends in the coastal resort of Betioga, Mengele suffered another stroke while swimming and drowned. The terrible thing about Mengele was that he remained defiant to the bitter end. He believed he had never really hurt anyone and that he was just an officer who was carrying out his duties. Mengele remains one of the most despotic characters when telling the tales of the scenes of science. Thanks very much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button.